Over the last 2 years, I've spent a lot of time talking about and listening to conversations about masculinity. And I've made videos about how to be a gentleman, how to be a high-value man. Luckily, I've never gone as far as to call myself an alpha male. But this is definitely a discourse that I know pretty well. And I've been lucky to really build a movement of men that also identify with these ideas. But after all of these countless hours talking about masculinity, analyzing it, studying it, debating it, I have to say that quite frankly, I'm a bit tired of it. And surely you must be too. I mean, how many more YouTube videos, Instagram reels, tweets, now Substack posts do we need? When will the question of masculinity finally be resolved? And the answer is never. Because masculinity isn't meant to be solved. It's not a maths problem. It's not an equation. It's complex and it's ever-changing. What masculinity is defined by biology, first off. It's also defined by societal norms, by culture, both of which are changing, both of which are different across the world. But most importantly, it's also defined by your own definition. And I think that's the most important and valuable part. Your definition of masculinity, your taste, the way you live your life, that is actually what's most important. And you don't need somebody like me or anybody else on the internet telling you what it means to be a man. In fact, I feel like the conversation has got to the point where it's actually become rather feminine. I mean, we're comparing the size of our muscles like teenage girls comparing bra sizes. We're using our testosterone level like it's some kind of male credit score. And all of this talk about masculine polarity, frame, we're getting nerdy about this stuff like they're chemical equations. And this isn't to say there's no value in conversations about masculinity. I actually think they're incredibly valuable, and you can see why it's become a necessity today. We have so many young men that grow up without fathers. They grow up without a strong example of what a man should and could be. And so it's natural that with all of the content on the internet, with all of the voices out there, people find kind of stepfathers online. And sometimes these stepfathers are a little bit dysfunctional, but amidst the weeds, there is a lot of valuable information out there. And that maybe you've latched onto a particular person. Maybe it's somebody like a Joe Rogan. Maybe it's Tate. Maybe it's me even, or somebody like me. Personally, I feel like I've collected bits from all over the so-called manosphere, and a lot of things that I've taken from it, it's kind of helped me forge a blueprint, figure out goalposts, and also learn a lot of things that just the mainstream education, mainstream industries just don't provide for you. There is kind of a sense of a blueprint, a roadmap, something to aim for, a vague idea to aim for that you can get from this content. And personally, I've learned a lot I've also just become more aware, I'd say awareness more than learning, about fitness, about business, about dating as well. I've learned a lot from this type of content. But there comes a point where you have to draw a line between learning and consuming and action. Because at some point, all of this talk about masculinity, what it means to be a man, it actually becomes a kind of procrastination. And in consuming all of this content, in talking about it all of the time, we're actually procrastinating on living it. Do you think Genghis Khan sat around talking about masculinity? No, he was out there conquering tens of millions of people. Do you think Muhammad Ali was needing podcasts about confidence and discipline? No, he was busy being a champion. Aristotle Onassis didn't care about other men's definitions. of masculinity. He was too busy sleeping with other men's wives. Now, these are obviously flawed examples, all of them. But that's the point. Men are flawed. Men aren't perfect. And part of being a man is not waiting until things are perfect to act. And I think that's what we need today. We need a little bit less debate, discussion, and more adventure. Less analysis and more exploration. And less being a man on other people's terms and more finding out what those terms are to you. So, if we don't talk about masculinity, especially on a channel like this, then what do we talk about? Well, we talk about everything. We talk about philosophy. We talk about the body, how to improve it, how to strengthen it, how to give ourselves longevity. We talk about art and culture. We talk about the things that make life feel good and be worth living. We could talk about everything from the deep and serious, like religion and politics, to the frivolous and enjoyable, like cigars and coffee and whiskey and sailing, golf, whatever you like. And yes, we can talk about women as well, but let's not talk about women as commodities or assets. Let's talk about them as the mysterious, life-giving, wonderful muses and sources of magic that they truly are. So if you're watching this video and you're about to click on another one, even if it's one of mine, don't. Just go out and do something that serves your definition of how life is meant to be lived as a man. And in the words of one great man, who, well, he was not only a great man, but he had even greater hair, a little less conversation, a little more action, please.